Oh, no, wait, that was it.
Hello, everyone. Let's just I hope you had a good weekend. Hope I didn't ruin your weekend with the homework. Um, as I emailed you or sent you the announcement, I went through our sessions in the past and created link for every session that we've had. So if you go through Canvas pages, each page has a link for a presentation. This will cover the main topics of that session. So if you click on that link, it will give you a presentation version of the session preview. I think this could be helpful for the homework if you check the notes. It will be helpful, helpful when you're working on the mid-semester project or whoever is taking it as a midterm exam. I created a module at the top. This is just I wanted to place all the things about GitHub, setting up Streamlit in one module. So anything that you're looking for about committing to GitHub, setting up GitHub, creating a template for Streamlit, everything is in that module. You can quickly go over it and check it out. That's similar to prior sessions. We want to start with the same structure. I will review the prior sessions conversation, what we talked about last session, make sure everyone is on the same page about the topic of that session, and then we will start the today's coding. Um, I can give you a heads up about what we have today on Wednesday and Friday. Today, we'll talk about this presentation and then we start a little bit of coding, which focuses exactly on the homework. I want to build the homework version and the code, but in a different version where we include session management into application design. This will give us a little bit of review of backend coding as well as UI design and also how we incorporate that new module that we worked on about session management. I think we will cover it in two sessions, today's session and also on Wednesday. And also on Wednesday, we'll talk about adding a chatbot to the application. It will be just a simple chatbot that we work on. On Friday, I will give you in class practice, which is going to focus on session management. You will work on it, and then similarly to one class practice we did, I will ask you to submit it by the end of the session. Um, I'm not sure if I've noted before. Every semester, the Friday before the spring break, I know some people take off sooner, and some people want to stay in school. So what I do, I hold the class on Zoom, so no one gets forced to stay in school if they want to leave early. So this semester again, I will do that. So on Friday, the class will be on Zoom. Um, and we still take the attendance. We're gonna cover everything just to kind of accommodate anyone that wants to leave a little bit early. They can do that. And that's about it. I wanted to let you know that the class will be on Zoom on Friday. I know that some people try to go home at different times. Just in case of this Friday, if you can attend the class and do the assignment in class practice during class, do it. Not, I will give you until the end of the day to submit that in class practice. If you couldn't make it to class, you still need to submit it by the end of the day so you don't miss that assignment. Last session, we talked about session management. we moved into a different topic within session management. Let's review from the beginning. We said a Streamlit has an issue. It doesn't remember what happens in the past. As soon as you refresh the page, it forgets everything. Has this amnesia problem. So we talk about how we can fix it. We said you need to create a notebook and write down everything in it that you want the application to remember after a rerun. A notebook, so the application remembers everything from the past. In Streamlit, that notebook is called st.session_state. This is a notebook. This is the same name. You're going to use it every time in every application, st.session_state. It's a notebook that you can create and you can record information that you want the Streamlit to remember during a session. It works with keys. You specify a key name and then store the value. You can store simple variables, like value data. You can store a list in a session state key. You can store a dictionary. You can store a list of dictionaries, right? So you have a lot of opportunities for recording and writing down into that notebook. Always, you want to pay attention to one important point. You're using it to record information that you want to remember, you want to use during a session. You're not going to use it as a way to record data. Like if there is a new order being recorded, you still need the database. You still need the a more persistent data recording for recording the information. Session state is about recording things that are during the session can be helpful to remember during the session. This was an example we talked about. If you want to exactly see what we mean by amnesia, you can simply create a flag and then add a button. And then if the user clicks on the button, change the flag and then refresh the page, you will see that the flag again gets changed to its original value, because the Streamlit, once it gets refreshed, it forgets everything that was that happened in the prior state. So how do we record information into a notebook? We want to record information into our notebook using keys. Every app may have its own unique keys that you want to remember. For example, here we created 3 important keys: login, and page, and a row. There is no clear or specific naming rule for this. It depends on how what is that key and what is the role of that key in your application. So you could have named this login or logged in. It doesn't matter. These are key names that you specify, but always use the same key name. So if you name it as logged in, you want to make sure that throughout the application, that's how you reference this session. And then you store your value inside that key in the session state. There is a very important note here, which is creating this guard clause. You want to initialize these main application keys only one time. You want to initialize them one time, and then whenever you want, you can update the values. You can change the values, but you want to initialize them once. In order to make sure that they're initialized only one time, you use this if clause that checks if the key is not isn't inside in the session state, then created an initializer. You do it one time. You change the value inside the key multiple times, so you initialize it one time. That means creating the key in the dictionary and then storing an initial value for that dictionary key. In question. So this is how we set up our main application keys and setting up their initial values. writing into a notebook. In our notebook, our session state, once we've created and initialized our main key, later we can change the value whenever the state of application changes. For example, in this case, we created a login system, so the user's credentials are checked, and if they're correct, the email password matches the one that we have in the database, then the user gets logged in. The idea of the login is that we change the state, the value of these keys to login. For example, logged in now is true, the user. Here we store a dictionary. You see, in a session state key, we can store just a flag or a dictionary or a list of dictionary. You can store multiple types of multiple data types. Here we are storing a dictionary because the found user is all the information about the user, their email address, their name, and so on. And then we also created a key that stores the user role. We're going to use it for navigation, a state-based navigation, how we route the user through the application. We also want to create multi-page idea in application design. We talk about this. A Streamlit doesn't, you're not going to use a Streamlit for creating actual multi-page applications. You only get one link to the application. So you're simulating that multi-page using the session state key. Using the session state key. Every time you want to land the user in a new page, you change the value of this key. You can have home page, you can have dashboard page, you can have order management page, you can have registration page, login page. All of them are managed or navigated through this key, the page key. There is an important key element here, st.rerun. Pay attention where I placed it. I didn't place it inside or before any of these changes. I placed it after. Because after this rerun, Streamlit only remembers anything that was in the session state before the rerun. So if I just move this line of code just before this, let's say I'm going to place it under instructor, what will happen? It will still remember the session state page was login, not home, because this will be placed after the rerun, and then it gets lost. So you want to make sure that you change the state prior to the rerun. Always remember that idea we talked about a Streamlit. What is that idea? The idea that every time we run the page or rerun the application or refresh the page, as Streamlit, and start running your application from line 1. It kills your application and recreates it again every time, destroys the application and creates it again from the beginning. That means it will go at the top of the go to the top of the application, and then it starts reading the lines of code, and then matches it with what it remembers from the prior state, which means matching it to what it has in the st.session state. Yes? 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 I hope that everyone's paying attention, putting their phone away. Then we talk about rule-based routing, traffic hub. This is how we are going to draw different dashboards or different UIs. We don't have multiple pages. You don't have one page, but we're giving an idea of a multi-page to the user. How do we do it? Using this state or role-based routing. It checks the role of the user. For example, here we have the instructor. If the role is instructor, then we are going to draw or show a different UI to the user. if the role of the user is admin, then we will show a different dashboard that is designed for the admin. And if it's neither of them or either of them, then we show the login page. Very important. A state-driven navigation. This means the navigation depends on the state of the application, the prior state. If the role of the user is instructor, then we are going to check the state session page. What is in the page will tell us what we should show to the user. What we should show to the user. Initially, after the login, when we were changing the login, do you recall this part? When the credentials were checked and we wanted to log in the user, we changed the page to home and then we rerun the application. We changed that. So when it rerun the application, first gets to this line of code and it checks it and says, okay, the session state role is set to instructor. So I'm going to go inside this if and else now. Then it checks the session state page. The page currently is home. They will draw this page. We'll draw this page. We created a button here that if the user clicks, then we will show the user the dashboard. See how we implemented the dashboard page? It was simply changing the value of the session state page key to dashboard and then rerun it. The rerun the page is very important because it has to rerun, so it goes back to the top of the page. I start reading the lines of code, gets to here again, if the session state role instructor, yes. Then it says if the session state page is home, it says no, because here we changed it to dashboard now. So the next rerun, it will say this is not correct, so I'm gonna read the next line now. I will read the next line and the page dashboard, yes, that's why I draw this page now. That's what it means to start from the top every time we run the whole application. The whole application is based on if and else's. Because we record them into the notebook, that's how it remembers the prior value of these like keys and then checks them using this if and else's every time. Which if should I run? So if I'm here, the home is the page is home. If I click on the button, the session state page will be changed to dashboard and it will rerun. Again, going to the top, again, get to here, read this page, read this line, it's instructor, yes. Read this line. Is the session state page is home? No, this time, because just before the rerun, I changed it to dashboard, just before the refresh. I changed it to dashboard, so it no longer is home, so I have to go and check the next if and else. The next if and else says if the page is dashboard, now run this page. So this is a state-driven navigation, means that it navigates the user based on the prior state, based on the current state. The state is recorded into the notebook. That notebook is called session state. If you don't ask question, I will ask you a question. I'm going to ask a question. The user is in dashboard. I want to add a back button. The user clicks on the back button. The user has to be navigated to the home page. You tell me what should I add to this code. Let me repeat that again. The user is in dashboard page. I want to add a back button. So when the user is clicks on the back button is returning the prior page. So the prior page is the home page. What should I add here to make it possible? Or what should I add to this line of code? And let's let them think about it for a minute, and then I will ask you to explain. All right. You want to explain?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So like if the back button is clicked, then you would want to change the session state page to home.
And then it's still, you need to
And then rerun it again.
Exactly. So the idea is just very simple. You're just changing the value of this key. Every time you're navigating the user to a different page, you're just changing this. So if I'm adding a back button here, exactly these 2 lines of code are going to be inside that back button. And then instead of a dashboard, the page is going to be set to home because we want the user to be navigated to home. So we'll replace this with home and then rerun the page. So it will rerun the page. It starts from the top, gets to this line of code. It checks if the role is instructor. Yes. If the session state page is home, you just changed it here when the user clicked on the back button. So yes, that's why now the user will see the home page, not the dashboard page. So the navigation is just a state driven, meaning that it will be based on this session state page. Whatever the value is inside that, that's what the user will see. So if you want to add other buttons, let's say I'm going to add another button. This time I'm going to add a new assignment. Okay, add a new assignment. When the user clicks on that button, the user should see the create new assignment page. So what should I add in there? Just change the page name to create new assignment and then rerun the page. Every time you're just creating new pages, names, and then storing in this session state. There is one session state key for pages. You're changing the value of that. That's how you're navigating the user through different pages. You can see that even the role changes, the key always stays here the same. The key name is page. Its values are changing. The key name is not changing. It's the one that we are using for navigating the user through the pages. The key is called page. Only the values are changing. The value could be home, the value could be login, the value could be registration, the value could be dashboard. Each one of them will indicate what the user sees after the rerun. Great. Forgetting the past resetting the values is returning the values of the session state keys to their initial state, If the user clicks on logout, you're returning it to initial state. Initial state was the login was false, the user was empty or none, the role was none, and the page, this is again a state-driven navigation. The state is returned to its initial state. So the page should also be returned to its initial stage, which was login page. The user is being landed on the login page, and then sd.rerun. So you can force a refresh. So user gets directed or navigated to the login page. Yes.
Is like the code time dot sleep, is it optional in this case, or is?
Good question. Here, you can also use the time that the sleep. The time that the sleep is always optional. The only reason that we are adding time that the sleep is because we are not actually working with database. So if we run them, they will be run very quickly. We want to create some type of delay so we can show some messages, kind of simulate an actual behavior. That's why we add the time data sleep. In reality, because it's costly to connect to the database, record the information, come back and show it, it will create that delay. Since we don't have that interaction, we are just simulating with the time data sleep. So you can also add it here as well. Thank you. Now that we are done with with reviewing the prior session, we are going to start this practice. Let me open the project. Oh, let's create a new page or new file, app.day7.py. What we want to do here. Our plan is to implement some type of some version of the homework. Some version of the homework with some UI design, some home estate management, and also we're going to take one step today. It's very important. And then I will tell you what you need to do with that also after the session. First, let's just add the imports here. I will add the imports quickly to this page. Streamlit, import JSON, import pathlib, or from pathlib, import path. From datetime, you might use that. Import UUID, that's the one that we will use for creating the new ID, and then import time. Now, st.set page config. Let's set up our page configurations. The page title, I will set it as orders management app. Orders management app. Let's set the layout. I want to set the layout this time to wide. And in initial sidebar state, I want to set it to expanded. One thing I want to add from the homework, I'm going to copy that information about the items list. Let me find this is the only thing that we are going to copy it from homework. If you have access to the homework details, you can copy it from homework. No, just this is our inventory list. Now we want to add a sidebar with st.sidebar. Let's add two buttons to our sidebar. If st.button, I will add this as home. I will set the key name to home btn. Use the type primary. And then use container width to set the use container width to true. Let's initially add the colon, and inside the button only just let's type pass. This will help us to continue the development, and at a different time we'll come back and implement inside the button. I will add another button here if st.button orders. Let's set the key name to orders btn. Type is primary. And use container width is going to be true. And let's just do this as pass. So we have our application set up, we have the sidebar, we have the buttons here. We can continue working on the application. Now that we've created it, now let's import the session management idea. I am going to add this here. I'm going to add it here. Okay. For now, I only want to add one key, and that's the page. That's the one that we will use for navigation. So if page not in st.session_state, then st.session_state page is set to home. I want to make sure that it gets initialized one time. That's why I check if actually the key doesn't exist in the session state. Then I created an initializer. This will make sure it gets initialized one time. Now let's go to the buttons and change the buttons information. If the user clicks on the home button, what should happen? We want to navigate the user to home page. That means changing st.session_state page to home and then rerunning the application. So st.session_state page has to be set to home and then st.rerun. state-driven navigation. Check the state, check what is stored in the session state. If you want to change it, here when the user clicks on home, we want to make sure that the page is set to home. You might say, we just set it to home, but yes, but what if the user is in orders page that we're going to create and then clicks on this button? We want to return it to the home page. With that, I want to create a new page too. This one, st.session state page, I'm going to set this to, let's say orders. Then st.rerun. Let's load the information just in case the information is stored persistently. I will create JSON pass one for inventory. It's going to be pass inventory.json. If JSON pass dot exists, then with open. So this is a different way, if maybe a little bit different from the prior versions that we worked on, simply just using the open function. We will place the name of the pass or the variable and then specifying as read. We want to read the information from that file and then store it in the inventory. JSON.load. We want to make sure that we check if it exists. If you attempt to read a file that doesn't exist, then it will break your application. That's why first I check if that pass exists, meaning that that file exists. If it exists, I will try to open it and load it into inventory. The same way for orders, JSON pass orders pass orders.json. If JSON pass orders that exist, then with open JSON pass orders and again read as f orders JSON dot load. If we have an order file and it exists, if it exists, read it and load it into the orders list. But you notice that we haven't created orders like similar to the inventory. So I will add one else here. Else orders, it's just an empty list. An empty list. We've loaded the information. Now what? Now let's check the page. Let's check where we are. If st.session state page is home, again, let's add pass. Else if st.session state page is orders, pass. Now, let's implement the layout for the homepage. Let's focus on the homepage. I'm going to implement the homepage. I want to do something about the homepage. I want to divide this area into 6 columns or 6 equally spaced areas. And then allocate 4 of them to one column, 2 of them to another column. So I'm going to add this here. First, sd.markdown with one hashtag, orders management application. Homepage. I've done a better job here. Now, call 1, call 2, sd.columns. Inside the parentheses, I will create a list and assign 4, 2. This will give 4 of them the call 1 and 2 areas we call 2. Dividing the layout into 6 spaces and then allocating 4 of them to call 1 and 2 of them to call 2. With call 1, I want to add a radio button. Selected category, okay, selected category. sd.radio. Call it, select the list. And items are inventory and orders. Inventory and orders. Now, if selected category is inventory, if the selected category is inventory, then check the length of the inventory, the length of the inventory list. If it is greater than 0, then sd.data frame inventory. This will show us the table of inventory only if it is greater than 0. If it is 0 or less, 0, not less, 0 else, just sd.warning, no item in the inventory, no item inventory. Let's add the else this time for selecting orders. So if it is inventory, check the length of the inventory list. If it is greater than 0, then show the data frame. Now let's do it for the orders. If length of orders is greater than 0, then sd.data frame orders. Otherwise, sd.warning, no order is recorded. Not yet. Let's add read call to. Read call to. Make sure that your indentation is correct. It should be under the same column with call 1. Now with call 2, if selected category is inventory, let's use this sd dot I keep forgetting the name of this metric. Okay, sd dot metric. This is total inventory. And then we need to specify a value. So I'm going to use fstring inside the square length of inventory. sd.metric. Title of the metric is like a KPI. We can create a KPI card with the sd.metric. The KPI name and the value of that KPI. The same way for the order. So else this sd.metric total orders f the string length of orders. We have completed this part. I will just change this pass sd.markdown under development. That's about it. Make sure that you have this part. Okay, so we developed the homepage with this layout. Let's go to the application and see how it looks like. Okay, so we can see, let's go back, add one more thing to the radio. Change the horizontal to true. Change the horizontal for the radio button. For the radio button, set it to horizontal and change it to true so it looks like a tab. I added this to our radio button so it looks like horizontal, not vertical. It will look like this now. Okay, so this is your metric, this is your KPI, this is your table. Now you can jump back and forth between your lists. Now let's change the pages. I'm going to click on the orders page. I'm in the orders page. I'm going to click on home page. I will go to the home page. I will click on the orders page. So you see a state-driven navigation. When you click on the orders page, the page is set to order and then it will rerun. When you click on home page, you go to the home page. Question. Good. Okay, let's push this to GitHub. We are not done yet, so let's do this part quickly. Git add git commit git push. Yes.
Why'd you name it dot? You did get comment then dot.
Oh, I wanted to do it quickly. You want to like define it
Oh.
actually what happened. I just wanted to complete it. Yes. All right. Okay. Now let's go to Canvas. On Canvas, I've created a page for today's session. It's called a Streamlit Online Page Share. There is a link here. Go and click on that link. Go to today's page, today's module, click on this link. This is how we are going to push our applications online. Okay, you're going to get a link for our application. Go to this page. I'm going to log out for now. Let me see if I can log out. All right. So this is the page that we are going to see. Okay. Click on the continue to sign in. Here, you want to sign in with your GitHub account. Sign in with your GitHub account. Click on continue with GitHub account and sign in with your GitHub account. It will take 2 minutes to make your own application online, and you can share the link to your application with everyone. After you logged in, do you see on the right side, create app? On the right side, there is a create app. Click on the create app and then click on deploy a public app from GitHub. Here, either copy paste the link to your GitHub or select your repository from here. I'm going to select the repository because it's linked to my GitHub now. This is the one that we've been working on. I'm not going to change this. This should stay main. Here, main file path. This one, this is the one that we created, app.day7. App.day7. So I selected the repository, this main, this is the file that I created. This is my URL now. This is the URL. You can change it. A little bit, you can change it. I'm going to remove this part for now. I don't need this. I will keep it here. Maybe this one. I already have it apparently. Okay, this one. All right, and that's it. Just deploy, and that's how you get your application into a Streamlit application website. And that's my link now. I'm going to share that after the class. This is the link to the application now. This is what I want you to do after this for your homework. Go and similarly connect to your GitHub and create a link for your application and leave the link to your application on the home assignment page. Should be able to paste the comment in the assignment page. Do this for your homework and paste the link to your application. This is the link. Just copy that link and paste it, and I will be able to access to your application. Yes.
The homework you just finished, or like
Yes.
teachers?
No, this homework. It's just like the one that you completed it. So that's about it. This is your link. Now you can access it, and it will work like an application. That's how we're going to create applications from now on. Let me quickly take the attendance, and we should be good to go.
You just copied the repository name.
That's it. You just select the repository name and then deploy. All right. Thank you. Let me just